what Dr. Gadungu said was, so if you add 2.5% plus 5% plus 1.5%, which ends up in escrow account, that's 9%.
Wait. Just hold.
Order. Let's have some order.
Figures.
Yes.
Once you get the details.
Let's blow the wind.
Yes, that's 9%.
Council Harvey, order.
What is
so the
9%? The 9% is how much
in terms of the mathematics, the Auditor General says in 10 years that will yield 111 billion Kenya shillings.
Which now is
I'll come to the
against.
point.
Yes.
And the procurement for the system was 104 billion.
Yes.
So who will be the beneficiaries of the 7 billion on top?
Let me take you slowly.
Give the answer.
Yes, this is the answer. Number one, track and trace is supposed to come from KEMSA and Pharmacy and Poisons Board, and the regulators in the health sector who will have their data in the system, and therefore they seek verification. An example is KMPDC. To date, the track and trace component of this system is not in place. So this is a systems audit. The number, that is why I'm saying up to this point in time, this system has been in operation for 5 months. Exactly how much money has moved in that pipeline? That is why the Health Committee asked for the cash flow tabulation.
And the ministry never gave you the response. Here, Dr. Gadungu says, this is the money, this is the amount, this is the flow.
And that is why...
Don't come into this discussion. Because you'll have looked at the books, she'll have said whether things were done in line with the law or not. Now, the problem where it is coming is that when Parliament now gets this report, we start pushing the same report back to the executive. That's what the problem is. And that's why I agree with those who are saying Parliament has failed. Why? We should be able to say this particular office or officer has been identified to have misappropriated public resources. On that basis, which committee takes over in terms of impeachment and all that? But you see, the question is, who is going to be the first one to bury the cat in a situation where we know what is happening in Parliament? You see now with the broad base, who talks for Kenyans? It's like everybody now is part of the government. So there are these issues which are really critical. And I think if we want to have this country, Parliament needs to take back their power and position, so that when this report comes to Parliament, if a certain CS is being assessed through this report to have misappropriated public resources, or our officers, or his officers, and the CS have done that, then the law is very clear what we need to do with such a CS. And I think the threshold in terms of requirement, constitutional requirement, to impeach either the CS or the president, I can see some areas where these thresholds have been met. It's only that Parliament is not taking that initiative to do what is expected of them. So instead, we push this back to the DPP, we push these things back to the DCI, to the ACC, but who is the appointing authority in these institutions? So it's a circus. I can tell you for sure, it's a circus. And I think if you really want to help this country, if you really want to help this country, the Auditor General has done our work. Can Parliament do their work through PAC? So that PAC reports are taken up. In Parliament, we have a committee called Implementation Committee. That's the committee which is supposed to follow up on all parliamentary resolutions. So that when a Parliament resolutes on a matter, that committee is supposed to take it over and ensure that it's implemented. But do you even know who is the chair of this committee yourself?
And Honorable Makali, given the frustrations you have expressed here of how Parliament is unable to undertake its functions as required by the law, did you normally contemplate on resigning?
Resigning as a parliament, or what?
Yes, and as a parliamentarian.
But you know, the thing is, Ayub, we have said this many times. Parliament is a situation where you have the majority and the minority. Parliament, our democracy requires that on any matter, you sort it out through voting. And always the majority carry the day. The minority will have their say. The majority carry their day. So in a situation where the law is that clear, that when you go on a matter and is put for voting, you either vote yes or no, and the yes carried, what will warrant you to resign out of it? What?
Failure by Parliament.
You'll have agreed to have. So unless we say, and the Kenyans have said, unless then there's a law, I don't think Avik would be able to help us as a senior lawyer, whether there's a way Parliament in totality could be dissolved and then we forget about we get a new one. Maybe that would be the way out. But as I'm telling you for now,
You know what? Let me tell you what.
Yes, have your purpose.
Chief Justice Emeritus David Kenani Maraga wrote to President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Oh, because of the gender.
That Parliament, as constituted itself, is unconstitutional. You get it? So there is no lacuna on what... In fact, yesterday we were in the Court of Appeal, and disappointedly, the matter has been in the Court of Appeal for the last 4 years.
Well,
the Court of Appeal is not making any progress. So the subterfuge that has enabled this maladministration is multifaceted. It is in the executive, it is in the legislature, it's in the judiciary. I think we just need to wind up this enterprise and start afresh.
So a governance structure then is the issue.
Yeah. The governance structure of those who are running the governance
the whole architecture.
Yeah, the whole architecture.
When you go because what App is saying, telling you is the problem you find in Parliament, you find it in the judiciary, you find it in the executive. So it's all over the place.
The point is you are conferred more power by the Constitution than the other arms of government.
No, each arm of government.
For example, the exercise of power is, of course, across board. But the head of the country or the head of state, the president in this case, who is the commander-in-chief, can be impeached by Parliament where you sit.
Now, for me, I think that the issue is, you know, by the way our governance structure is structured, we expect it to be independent, but at some point, independence. And I think what we have lost is this independence. That you find that even as Parliament does their work, there's a lot of interference from the executive. Even as judiciary do their work, there's a lot of interference from I think what Avi is saying is maybe time has come when we review our governance structure and say, are we getting it right? Because in a situation where then we are all over the place, then we will not help this country. We will remain where we are.
Yes, Honorable Madenge.
Abdikadir, let's go back to Parliament. Once the Auditor General report gets to the floor of the House, two organs of Parliament, the Public Accounts and the Public Investment Committees, take over. And they bring a report to Parliament. And here, allow me to ask my two colleagues to stop being evasive. Because under the standing orders, a committee can table two reports, a majority and a minority report. After that, the Parliament, as a committee of the whole House, debates and comes up with the unitary decision of the House, which then is supposed to go to implementation. And we have the Committee on Implementation once the decisions of the whole House have been made. And it is time that Parliament either was audited or audited itself in terms of its deliveries on these mandates. There was the question of that in the Constitution, the Constitution says Parliament shall take appropriate action. What would be the appropriate actions? Number one, we can recommend that the officers mentioned in the report cease to hold public office until they have the issue of guilty or not guilty is determined through the judicial process. Number two, we can also declare somebody unfit to hold public office, and on account of that, it will become the responsibility of that person to go to court and contest that decision. Number three, we can amend the laws and the legislation to fast track some of the actions that Parliament recommends. For example, under the EACC Act, we could amend Section 2.
Now, these things of amending are moribund. You guys must act, Mr. Madenge. You're not incapacitated.
Those are the actions. Those are the actions.
No.
It is the mandate of Parliament to legislate.
To execute the law as it is right now. Do not proposition ideas in the future.
When you have just complained here about the issue of the advisory by Justice Maraga to the presidency and the failure to dissolve Parliament, and you've said it has been in the corridors of justice for how many years?
4 years.
So then this is the question: what should happen?
Kick out
and you see, you've also talked about interference between one arm of government and the other one. You are in court yourself, wanting to indict
as members of the National Assembly, stop receiving small amounts of money to take decisions that are.
You know, I have challenged everybody who has sat here with me and told them, Wakili Harvey, go raise a complaint against me personally, Member of Parliament, Nyeri Town constituency at the EACC, over receiving money, and by the time you finish filing the complaint, I will be seated outside there to respond.
Cannot take action.
So, Abdikadir, we are missing the point here, Abdikadir.
That's the question.
We are missing the point here, and allow me just 1 minute.
Briefly, yes.
You know, my colleague, let's help this country. And I think we need to help at the individual level and collective level. My brother Madenge here, a member of Health Committee, they went to Mombasa on this issue. And when they went to Mombasa, money changed hands.
Can you prove that?
Wait a minute, let me finish.
Okay.
I just in a big old paper.
Money changed hands. And the report of the chairman, the members were not able to have a consensus. For us to help this country,
Before you proceed with the point of helping the country,
let me
prosecute
my point.
You will prosecute your point.
My point here is this.
Hold you to account. I'll give you.
I'll come there, Abdikadir.
I'll give you the time. You'll respond. You'll have enough time to respond and go ahead with it.
There's nothing to respond. What I'm trying to, I want to put the debate in this point.
I'm asking you then.
If the committee,
because you have made statements that you cannot substantiate.
I can.
How can you substantiate that money exchanged?
I can. I can.
Yes.
And I'm coming to that. Since we have an opportunity, and we have a member of Health Committee here, and we have this problem here, Abdikadir, we want to hear from him on what was deliberated and what recommendation they brought to Parliament. So at least, because I can see him reading many papers here and taking us to EACC and wherever. But the question on the table here is, what did his committee do to arrest this problem?
To avert this.
So at least again we don't keep on parabolating on man of issues.
Yes, you can respond to that, Honorable Madenge.
The Health Committee, up to this point in time, has not tabled its report on the SHA system in Parliament. And when our chairman,
Dr.
Pukose, stood in Parliament, he read a statement which was not a report of the Health Committee, and that ruling was made by the Speaker because we, as members of the Health Committee, raised issues with the statement because it was not a Health Committee's report.
Okay, and what were the details? What were the details of the statement which was read by the chair of committee, Dr. Pukose?
I may not have them sharply in mind, because it was not the position of the Health Committee, it was the position of Dr. Pukose as Member of Parliament, and also possibly as chair.
Okay, on the technology system, that is.
In tabling documents in Parliament, we append signatures. Yeah. That was a personal statement. It had only one signature.
The question is, what was deliberated?
His statement.
Let's go.
You'll go to your point. Fair enough.
Ayub,
hang on,
to the plaintiff and the defendant.
Yes.
The plaintiff has, on a balance of probability,
Dr. Madenge,
that there was exchange of money.
This is the question then. What were the disagreements over the committee level? Was it on the technology system for the Social Health Authority?
On the technology system, we had two key issues. Number one, the flow of the money through the system. Because the government was not investing a single coin in this system. The private sector was bringing in the money, right? Number two, so the flow of the money through the system, the upfront injection, up to the point the 104 billion is realized. We wanted to see the money flowing. And that is one of the requests that the committee put to the ministry, and the ministry has to respond. Up to this point in time, the response has not come. The second one, once the decision to go through the procurement process provided in law, the specially permitted procurement process, what due diligence was done to ensure there was competitiveness in identifying Safaricom as the lead?
There wasn't competitive bidding.
And there wasn't competitive bidding. But under the specially permitted procurement and under the Public-Private Partnership Act, what are the provisions? And those are not things that you can do in one sitting. As a result, we needed the authority on procurement.
I think for me, Ayub, my colleague here is really taking unnecessary time. You know why? This matter has already been picked by the Auditor General. The issues he's raising. As a committee, the reason why they went to Mombasa was because this matter was of national importance and it was urgent. They went to Mombasa last year.
To sanitize.
Up to a time when the Auditor General is giving us the things they were discussing. They are now on paper. So the question is, why did they have to go to Mombasa? The other question is, this issue of private sector saying this money will be put up front. Abdikadir, we know very well. The money Kenyans are paying, the money I'm paying and he's paying, is the money to go to service this system. They'll be getting the payment from this. You can't say this money is not from Kenya. We are the people paying the taxes through the 2.75 deductions. So when somebody says Kenyans are not paying, I get surprised. Because it is our money. They'll only be recovering. They're only giving us, it's like a loan.
Allow me.
How do you respond to that? Because
listen, Abdikadir.
Let me just give you a flow of what the Auditor General said. The 2.5% deductions at the Social Health Authority, 1.5% of track and trace solutions, don't know what that means, and 5% of the health facilities, all ending up in an escrow account on daily basis, according to her.
Now, let's come. Number one, you notice that this system, SHA, is only one of the users. And therefore, as a user, SHA was expected to make some payments, right? And the issue of 2.5%, when I say that the Health Committee is waiting to see the money flow, because those are the answers from the implementation. We are at that stage. Okay. Today, I would have been very happy to see the figure that the Auditor General has flagged and said, out of this 2.5% from SHA, this is the amount. This is the amount in nominal figures.
Okay, this is the amount. I'll give you the amount.
Yes.
What Dr. Gadungu said was, so if you add 2.5% plus 5% plus 1.5%, which ends up in escrow account, that's 9%.
Wait. Just hold.
Order. Let's have some order.
Figures. Yes. You get the details.
Let's blow the wind.
Yes, that's 9%.
Council Harvey, order.
What is
so the 9%,
the 9% is how much money?
In terms of the mathematics, the Auditor General says in 10 years that will yield 111 billion Kenya shillings.
Which now is against the point.
Yes. And the procurement for the system was 104 billion.
Yes.
So who will be the beneficiaries of the 7 billion on top?
Let me take you slowly.
Give the answer.
Yes, this is the answer. Number one, track and trace is supposed to come from KEMSA and Pharmacy and Poisons Board, and the regulators in the health sector who will have their data in the system, and therefore they seek verification. An example is KMPDC. To date, the track and trace component of this system is not in place. So this is a systems audit. The number, that is why I'm saying up to this point in time, this system has been in operation for 5 months. Exactly how much money has moved in that pipeline? That is why the Health Committee asked for the cash flow tabulation
And the ministry never gave you the response. Here, Dr. Gadungu says, this is the money, this is the amount, this is the flow.
And that's why I've asked, out of the 2.5% from share deductions, at this point in time, at the point of her report, how much money? In nominal figures, this number, 100 million, a billion, how much money?
She has given you, it's 111 billion, the three components.
That is over the 10-year period.
Yes,
that is over the 10-year period. We have only implemented the system for 5